Alright, so really quick, just quick disclaimer. I had a really hard time trying to find him on anything. Like, the best I have is what I could find on him from Ancestry and Find a Grave. And what I found on Find a Grave from him came from a Wikipedia page about him. But apparently times have changed since Wikipedia was a thing when I was in school. Because I was told that I wasn't allowed to use Wikipedia because they didn't use citations and sources, but apparently now they do. So I'm hoping that this information that I found on Richard is as close to accurate as I can get, because there's next to nothing I could find on him. So, Richard Wickes was born sometime in 1733 in Kent County, Maryland. And like I said, I found him on Ancestry. The only things I had to go off of was that apparently he had two brothers named Samuel and Lambert. But the only problem is that their father's name was Samuel, their grandfather's name was Samuel, and obviously each one of them had a son named Lambert, and they also had a son named Richard. So basically what I did was I looked at every single one of the parents, the possible parents, and did my best to line up, like, if they had other children, line up the dates that the family tree gave for when they were born, and figure out which ones was closer to when Richard would be born. And my best guess is that his parents were Samuel and Mary Wickes, because that's the only one I could find where the timeline would kind of the timeline of their other children's birth would kind of line up with Richard's. On Find a Grave, he's not connected to anybody, so I couldn't confirm or deny who his parents are on Find a Grave. And yet again, it only mentions two brothers named Samuel and Lambert. It doesn't mention any parents or any other siblings. So I'm not 100% sure if that's the accurate name for him. But what I found on Find a Grave is that him and his brother Lambert would serve on the 18-gun ship the Reprisal, starting on March 28, 1776. On June 10th, the Committee of Secret Correspondence of Congress ordered his brother, Captain Lambert Wickes, to set sail from Philadelphia to Martinique. On June 28th, they joined up with Captain John Berry at the Lexington near Cape May, New Jersey, to aid the privateer Nancy, who was being chased by two British Navy ships, the 32-gun HMS Orpheus and the 16-gun HMS Kingfisher. The Nancy had several supplies and several hundred kegs of gunpowder from the Caribbean islands of St. Thomas and St. Crux, and had been on its way to Philadelphia. Later in the afternoon of the 28th, Lambert told Richard to take a longboat to the Nancy and to tell Captain Hugh Montgomery to head for the shore. Richard would reach the Nancy a little after midnight, and with the Orpheus and the Kingfisher hot on the tail, they would head for Turtle Gut Island Inlet in an attempt to run aground and salvage the cargo. Richard would assist in both transferring the cargo and returning cannon fire, but by the late morning of the 29th, the Nancy was heavily damaged by the British barrage, and Captain Berry would take 50 pounds of gunpowder, the mainsail, and then he would use them to create a fuse that would go down to the almost 100 gunpowder kegs that were still left, that were in the ship's hold, to blow up the ship. And he would time it in such a way that as soon as the British stepped onto the ship to see what they could salvage, the ship would blow up and kill them. I'm not sure at what point during this fight Richard was killed, but it's listed that Richard was killed by British cannon fire. So I'm assuming they might have been he might have been killed when they were trading, because it's also stated that his brother Lambert would send a letter to their other brother Samuel, telling him that in the last 5 minutes or so of the fight, that he witnessed their brother's death. The only other thing that I could find is that he is the only, at the time, he was the only death of the Reprisal. There's another one that says they were on the Reprisal when they died, but I'm having a hard time finding information on. Well, I haven't started information on him, that's right. But I have to look it up because there's another man that was supposed to be on the Reprisal that dies a couple weeks later, I do believe. Not if I'm not, since I'm not looking at the dates exactly. But at the time during this fight, Richard was the only one killed, and he was the first American naval casualty. He's buried at Cold Spring Presbyterian Cemetery in Cape May, New Jersey, and he has 2 memorial markers. One's at the cemetery itself, and I'm assuming that, because it doesn't say on Find the Grave where it's at, but I'm assuming the other one might be in around the area where the Nancy ran aground, but I'm not sure where his other marker would be. But if they're somewhere in Cold Spring Presbyterian Cemetery, there's a marker letting you know that he's buried there somewhere. I'm not sure exactly what his spot, where his spot's at in the cemetery. It's just, that's about all I could find on him. Said that it was the 1700s. I don't want to say they didn't have very good record keeping, because a lot of things got written down, because that's how word of mouth got spread. Well, not word of mouth, but that's how news and that got spread. It's not like today, where we don't really write anything down. It's probably one of those things that a lot of the stuff that has him written in it probably got lost or destroyed or what have you. And I'm pretty sure that's the problem I'm gonna have with everybody. Like I said, I just want to say, like, pre-Civil War, that's the problem I'm probably gonna have. So, right, got next one. I do believe is an actual Civil War soldier, because the other ones I can't find anything. I'm thinking that their information's on the British portion of Ancestry, and I'm not paying for the overseas, so I'm kind of not able to get access to that. So hopefully I can come back around and get to them whenever I get more money, because like I said, money's tight right now. So, alright, on to the next soldier. Bye.